The sickening chants of Sartan Se Juda have been echoing even louder today. We put the spotlight on those who've been using that murderous phrase imported from Pakistan in Hyderabad since yesterday, and it's gotten even louder today, but only worse, because there are children who are part of those crowds who are chanting alongside the adults and calling for death in a similar manner. Who's going to put a stop to this? Why has there been no action against those chanting Sartan Se Juda? Are we going to just live with that phrase now? I'm Shiv Aroor. I'm going to show you the people using the phrase, and we're going to question them. The headlines first. Another Savarkar poster ripped off in Karnataka's Davangere district. Locals demand action against miscreants. The BJP has embraced Veer Savarkar in the biggest way possible for this very polarized election. BJP and Aam Aadmi Party trade charges over liquor gate for 1 week and running. BJP accuses Kejriwal of ignoring excise panel's recommendations. Claims Sisodia gave licenses as Revdi to friends. Aam Aadmi Party counters, accuses BJP of Operation Kamala to depose the Delhi government. CBI heat on RJD chief Lalu Prasad's close aides in land for jobs scam. CBI raids 24 locations, 4 RJD leaders in Patna. Gurugram mall allegedly owned by Tejasvi also raided. Celebrity Haryana BJP leader Sonali Phogat's death in Goa deepens the mystery. Family alleges conspiracy, accuses Sonali's private assistant and aide's role in her death. Bling Bollywood and blackmail. Actor Jacqueline Fernandez claims bias in the 200 crore Sukesh Khan scandal investigation. Asks why Nora Fatehi has been made a witness while she, Jacqueline, is an accused. The BJP may have taken quick action against hateful, venomous, rabble-rouser MLA T. Raja Singh for his communal remarks. But the fire continues to spread across Hyderabad with no action taken against politicians, activists, celebrity influencers and even children chanting death calls and Sartan Se Juda. Protesters are continuing to hit the streets of Hyderabad despite action being taken against T. Raja Singh. But the ugly side has unraveled, with even young school children seen today shouting slogans of Phansi do, calling for summary executions amidst the chants of Sartan Se Juda. Echoes of taking law into their own hands have been blaring through the old city, and the air of radicalization is writ large. We're going to expose the people who've made this possible on the ground. Take a look at what happened first.
Hyderabad on edge. Massive protest. MLA T. Raja Singh effigies burned. Echoes of Sartan Se Juda beheading chants. Police detained scores of protesters on Wednesday as hundreds came out on the streets against the release of Raja Singh from jail on bail. The police held flag march in Old City as it brought the situation under control. Suspended BJP leader was arrested on Tuesday over his allegedly derogatory remarks on Prophet Muhammad. Raja Singh spent just 10 hours in custody as the local court granted him bail, saying criminal procedure code was not followed in making the arrest. While Raja Singh's release sparked celebrations at the BJP office, it triggered protests in the old city of Hyderabad.
The main cause of the protest is the hateful, derogatory and uncouth language which was used by the BJP and its MLA.
Telangana Congress Neta Feroze Khan even issued a brazen threat of violence against T. Raja.
मेरा प्रश्न आपसे सीधा है, सजा मुसलमान देंगे कि सजा अदालत देगी?
दुनिया देख लिए, इनोसेंट गरीब कमजोर मरता, इसलिए राजा सिंह नहीं मरता, असदुद्दीन नहीं मरता, फिरोज खान नहीं मरता,
कौन देगा सजा?
इन्हें अगर से बात करेंगे
सजा कौन देगा?
आगे जाके
सजा कौन देगा?
कई के लिए तो इसके लिए
कि आप बोलेंगे कि 1 लाख बाद कानून तोड़ो,
माफी मांगना, इन्हें नहीं माफी मांगेगा तो पहले भी बोला, आज भी बोल रहा हूँ, इसको जहाँ दिखे हो तो और मारते हम लोग.
The protest that saw beheading calls also included school children who were made to chant "Death for Raja Singh" slogans. National Commission for Protection of Child's Rights has assured action against those who instigated children to chant "Sar Tan Se Juda."
Yeah, definitely we will take a note on this and we will issue the notices. We will take action against the perpetrators who are using children. This is a kind of child abuse. Commission strictly prohibits such things. Juvenile Justice Act prohibits such things. Use of children and any kind of violent or radical activities is prohibited by the law of land. So we will definitely take appropriate action against this perpetrator.
The beheading chants were made in the presence of several police personnel who chose to turn a blind eye to provocative sloganeering.
We're here at, Shah Ali Banda, and this is where, in fact, officials just now, local corporators there who are trying to speak with the police having questioned them as to, why there has been so much of these protests that have been ongoing. The protests here are still continuing, as you can clearly see a call for arrest of Raja Singh among several others, including, Sar Tan Se Juda, being made by these protesters out here. Local corporators out here at Old City who have arrived here and are trying to speak with the police as well. Force that has been deployed on one side. It is shocking to see that the police here are still waiting on hand, but on the other hand, the number of crowds, that is the people here, have been continuously increasing here since morning. Let me remind you, these protests here have only been increasing since last night.
With Apurva Jayachandran in Hyderabad, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, many people have been wondering, where has this Sar Tan Se Juda phrase come from? This murderous, sickening, horrible phrase that has no place in a legal democracy. Where has this actually come from? Let me tell you. This phrase, Sar Tan Se Juda, separate the head from the body, dates back to 2011 in Pakistan. Big surprise. It was first heard in Pakistan in 2011 after politician Salman Taseer's murder on so-called blasphemy charges. It was coined by Pakistani extremist cleric Khadim Hussain Rizvi in 2011. It was used by Khadim Rizvi's followers starting 2011 in rallies where they basically said, Gustakhe Rasool ki ek hi saza, Sar Tan Se Juda, Sar Tan Se Juda. From 2015 onwards, Khadim Rizvi's new outfit, an extremist Islamist outfit called Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, embraced this phrase which was invented in 2011 and popularized it, practically making it one of their, war cries or their chants. And then it began being used by Indian Islamists and hardliners in 2018-2019. So 2011, it was invented in Pakistan. 2015, it became popular thanks to the Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan. 2018-2019, hardliners in India picked it up and began using it, and now you can hear it practically everywhere during protests of this kind. The only thing that has made it really horrible and scary today is that little children have started to be used in these Sar Tan Se Juda protests. Now, on the left-hand side of my screen, that's Pakistan. That's Pakistan, where you can hear Sartan Se Juda protests, the land of its birth, the land that gave the world Sartan Se Juda. That's Pakistan, and you can hear it there. And here you've got August 2022 in Hyderabad, India, where you've got Sartan Se Juda slogans being chanted as well. Listen to both of them. They're both saying basically the same thing, except that one country invented the line and this group is using that line fresh from Pakistan's radical mindset. Now I want to bring in the experts, because this has gone on for too long. We've exposed many of the faces responsible, but there's been no overt condemnation. Asaduddin Owaisi has come out and condemned, but we all know that Asaduddin Owaisi's own brother and many people within his party have been indulging in this sort of thing, and no action has been taken against them. Jaya Singh is a child rights activist and former member of the State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Atikur Rahman is an Islamic scholar and analyst. Welcome to you both. Jaya Singh, I'd like to quickly come to you first. Your reactions to this, ma'am, children, I'm not going to be able to guess how old they are, but some of them look as young as, 8, 9 or 10. In those crowds, screaming Phansi do, some of them appear to be, possibly even saying Sartan Se Juda like the adults around them. What kind of laws would apply in this case, ma'am? Your reactions to this?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me for this topic, because this has really given me shivers seeing children on streets and shouting slogans. So currently I'm working with CRY, which is a child rights organization, and the most important thing which I feel is that whenever we talk about children, we need to actually see the entire circumstances with a child rights angle. And being coming to the question you asked, being in India, we have so many laws which we have laid down, like the JJ Act, where we talk that any child which is in such circumstances can be named as a child in need of care and protection. Because here we can very clearly see that the children are not protected. If anything happens at that moment, who will take the responsibility of children? Who will be responsible for making sure that no child is hurt? There is nothing which happens to the children at any stage, because this is such a furious crowd. You can see people chanting slogan, you can see children after them who are actually speaking the same language. So we need to actually ensure that whatever happens and wherever we are actually trying to include our children, we should see that circumstance with the child rights angle, that whether it is okay for the child to be there, whether it is safe for the child to be there, and whether we are ensuring that the child understands what kind of slogan or what kind of action that child is being put into.
They're just 8 or 9 years old. Many of these kids are terribly young, and apart from it being totally unsafe for them, because there are lathi charges happening, there are there are effigies being burnt, but so it's pretty clear that it's not safe for those children. But over and above that, the fact that someone is putting these horrible phrases into these children's heads, bringing them out there in large numbers and doing this, I would hazard to say this is a form of child abuse. Would you agree, Jaya Singh?
Yes, obviously yes. Because when a child is not knowing what the child is being subjected to, then because we as an adults are responsible for ensuring the best interest of the child. We as Indians have signed the UNCRC, which is the United Nations Charter for Child Rights, which we have said that yes, we will take the responsibility to make things okay for children, to make things safe for children, and to ensure the best interest of children. But is this the best interest? Do we feel that the position where children are there shouting slogans, is this the best interest? Is this the safest place where we can place our children? So I feel,
Absolutely, I agree with you completely, Jaya Singh. I just want to put this, this discussion on pause for just a moment, because we're joined by Congress leader from Hyderabad, Feroze Khan, who was one of the people who's been issuing threats of violence asking Muslims, asking people to come out onto the streets and beat up T. Raja Singh for his hateful comments. He's been arrested, he's been granted bail. He's issued a video call today asking for violence. Feroze Khan, धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने का.
Okay,
I
thank
just
you.
wanted to ask you, Feroze ji, why do you think, why are you calling for violence at a time like this? Why are you inciting anger? Why are you inciting violence by asking people to come out and beat up Raja Singh wherever they see them? Shouldn't the courts and the police decide what to do with him?
100% कोर्ट अपना काम करेंगी, कानून अपना काम कर रहा. अभी हमारी मांग ये है मुख्यमंत्री तेलंगाना से और कमिश्नर ऑफ पुलिस से कि अब तक राजा सिंह के ऊपर 49 केसेस बुक है. ये फिट केस है फॉर पीडी, प्रिवेंशन एंड डिटेंशन. और ये जो राजा सिंह हरकत कर रहा, अब से नहीं कर रहा, 20 साल से कर रहा. जब इन्हें गली का लीडर था, कॉर्पोरेटर था, आज एमएलए बना. तो ये एक आध कोई मिस्टेक नहीं है, ये प्लान्ड मिस्टेक है. और जैसा आपको मालूम है कि दंगे होते नहीं, करवाए जाते.
फिरोज
सुनिए भाई, मैं कंप्लीट करने देंगे.
जी.
आज जो राजा सिंह का जो बयान है, जिसकी वजह से शहर हैदराबाद में अमन शांति खराब हो रही और तेलंगाना में और हिंदुस्तान में. एक बात याद रखिए, एक आध आदमी कुछ गलती करता तो ओके रेट, चलिए इसके मुंह में से कुछ निकल गया, मिसकम्युनिकेशन है, कुछ भी गलती से बोल दिया. मगर इन्हें हैबिचुएटेड है, इन्हें कभी भी ये कामा करता. और अब इन्हें दंगे कराने के लिए ये प्री प्लान करके हिंदुओं के दिलों में मुसलमानों के लिए नफरत.
फिरोज भाई, ये तो गिरफ्तार हो गया है, ये गिरफ्तार हो गया. अभी आप क्यों भड़का रहे हो लोगों को? अभी वो गिरफ्तार हो गया है, जांच शुरू हो गई है, पुलिस काम कर रही है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है. अभी वो कोर्ट में प्रोड्यूस हो चुका है. और क्या चाहिए आपको?
नहीं, और ये चाहिए कि इसको पीडी एक्ट में बुक करना, प्रिवेंशन एंड डिटेंशन.
नहीं, दैट इज नॉट व्हाट यू आर आस्किंग, फिरोज भाई. दैट इज नॉट व्हाट यू आर आस्किंग. I will play out the audio of what you have said. Do you want me to play the audio of what you said?
सुनिए, वो तो कल का वीडियो था कि उसको अरेस्ट करो, बोले अरेस्ट करे, उसको बेल मिल गई.
आप ये नहीं बोल रहे, आप बोल रहे हो कि जहां भी मिले उसको मारो, उसको गाड़ी से निकाल के मारो उसको.
अभी भी
आप लोगों को उकसा रहे हो, आप लोगों को भड़का रहे हो. बच्चे भी हैं ये प्रोटेस्ट में.
नहीं,
आप लोगों के वजह से बच्चे भी आ रहे हैं बाहर और सरतन से जुदा बोल रहे हैं.
नहीं, सरतन से जुदा को हम कंडेम करते हैं, वो बात नहीं करते. मगर ये कल्प्रिट है राजा सिंह. ये राजा सिंह को जिधर भी बोले हम जूते मारो बोले, उन्हें सॉरी नहीं बोलेंगे तो बराबर उसको मारेंगे. क्योंकि 20 साल से इसका ड्रामा चल रहा. अगर से एक आध टाइम गलती हुई तो हम माफ कर देते थे. और इसको क्या मालूम है, इस्लाम के बारे में क्या मालूम है, और किसके भी रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट को हर्ट नहीं करना.
फिरोज जी, सुनिए, do you not believe in the constitution and the law?
100%.
How can you as a responsible politician, sir, I am asking you with great respect, as a responsible politician, how can you call for violence? Don't you know that you have broken the law also? I am telling you right now, I believe that T. Raja Singh should be in jail. I am saying under the law he should be punished. That is my view. But as a politician, how dare you say that people should come out and beat him? मैं जूते से मारूंगा. आप कौन होते हो सर लोगों को उकसाने के लिए?
सुनिए, आपको क्या बोले, जब पानी सर के ऊपर से उठ गया तो इस तरीके की बात करना जरूरी है. आप जो हरकत करे, आपको नहीं मालूम हिंदुस्तान की यूनिटी और पीस खराब करने के बातें कर दिए राजा सिंह.
और आपके शब्द सर, आपके शब्द.
मेरे शब्द में फर्क है. मैं राजा सिंह को मारो बोल रहा हूँ, मैं कोई गरीब कमजोर को नहीं मारो बोल रहा हूँ.
क्या आपको पता है फिरोज भाई, क्या आपको पता है कि आपके शब्द का असर क्या हुआ है ऑन द ग्राउंड? क्या आपने देखा है? कुछ तस्वीरें देखे आपने?
देखिए, हमारे हर चीज का अंदाजा है. आज जो मुसलमान की
तकलीफ है सर, बाहर बच्चे आके डेथ थ्रेट्स दे रहे हैं, सरतन से जुदा बोल रहे हैं, फांसी दो बोल रहे हैं. बच्चे लोग 8, 9, 10 साल के बच्चे.
जी सुनिए, ये मुसलमानों के हीरो को टच कर दिया, उसके लिए इसको सॉरी बोल रहे हैं. नहीं तो मुख्यमंत्री को बोल रहे हैं फिट केस फॉर पीडी है, इस पीडी एक्ट में बुक करिए, जेल को भिजा दीजिए, 1 साल तक बाहर नहीं आता.
तो investigation is happening. Let me make our viewers hear what you said. Let's just play out. Feroze bhai, एक second. Let's just, I want our viewers to hear you because people need to know what you have said. Let's just play out that bite for 1 second.
और राजा सिंह को पॉलिटिकल पोलराइजेशन का जुनून चढ़ा हुआ है. इसको जेल को भेजाइए. और राजा सिंह जो भी तू स्टेटमेंट दिया वो स्टेटमेंट को तू माफी चाह, और अगर से तू नहीं चाहेगा माफी, हर एक मुसलमान को बोल रहा हूं मैं, राजा सिंह जिधर भी देखा गाड़ी रोक के मारो उसको। अगर से कानून हाथ में लेना है, एक टाइम नहीं 1 लाख टाइम लेते हम। रसूल अल्लाह प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद के ताल्लुक से तू जो घिनौनी बात करा, उसके लिए तो तेरे को जूता मारना जरूरी है।
फिरोज, आपने वो सुना, ये वीडियो आपका ही है, आपने ही इशू किया है। आप बोल रहे हैं कि ये कल का था, जो भी है आप बोल रहे हैं, आप बोल रहे हैं कि कानून अपने हाथ में 1 लाख टाइम लेंगे हम, इसको मारना चाहिए, इसको खत्म करना चाहिए। आप कैसे बोल सकते हो? आप एक मामूली, आप एक साधारण व्यक्ति नहीं हो, आप एक नेता हो, आप एक कांग्रेस पार्टी का नेता हो, आप एक इन्फ्लुएंशियल आदमी हो, आप एक लीडर, कम्युनिटी लीडर हो यार। आप ऐसे कैसे बोल सकते हो?
मैं बराबर बोलते, हम उसको सबक सिखाना बोले, हम उसको मारना
नहीं, आपने सबक सिखाना नहीं बोला, आपने बोला कि हम कानून हाथ में लेंगे, 1 लाख बार कानून हाथ में लेंगे और उसको मारना चाहिए, ये आपने बोला है। आपने लोगों को उकसाया है फिरोज।
जब भी उन्हें पब्लिक में निकलेगा, कभी भी उन्हें बस्ती में निकलेगा, पब्लिक मीटिंग में आएगा, बराबर मारते उसको। अभी भी बोल रहा हूं, कभी भी बोलता हूं, उन्हें सारी बोले जब तक मारते उसको।
फिरोज, आपका भाई राशिद ने बोला है कि इनके कंस्टिट्यूएंसी को जला के रख देंगे। आप बोल रहे हैं कि लोग आके उसको मारना चाहिए, कानून अपने हाथ में लेंगे। तो क्या मैसेज जाता है, क्या मैसेज जाता है कम्युनिटी का, क्या मैसेज जाता है बच्चों के लिए जो अभी भी बाहर हैं, जो प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं और ये सब शब्द इस्तेमाल भी कर रहे हैं?
देखिए, राजा सिंह की हिस्ट्री जो मैं आपको पहले बोला, 20 साल से ये ड्रामा करता है।
अरे फिरोज भाई, उसका हिस्ट्री हमको पता है, इसलिए हम बोल रहे हैं कि जो हो रहा है उसके खिलाफ वो ठीक है, वो अच्छा है, उसको अंदर होना चाहिए।
यस,
लेकिन आप ऐसे क्यों बोल रहे हो? आप एक सिटीजन हो ना, आप एक नेता हो, आप क्यों बोल रहे हो कि शुड टेक द लॉ इनटू योर ओन हैंड्स? आप क्यों बोल रहे हो? यू आर अ क्रिमिनल, देन यू हैव ब्रोकन द लॉ। आपने भी लॉ को ब्रेक किया है।
जब उन्हें लाखों करोड़ों के सेंटीमेंट से खेल रहा कंटिन्यूस, तो उसको सबक होना, या तो उन्हें माफी मांग के।
आप लाखों बच्चों का लाइफ के साथ खेल रहे हो। जब आप बोलते हो कि उनको बाहर आना चाहिए और ऐसे हिंसा करना चाहिए, तो आप उनके जिंदगी के साथ खेल रहे हो।
सुनिए, हम पूरी आवाम को ये बात बोले कि जो भी है, लॉ को अवॉइड करके करना, कोई इनोसेंट गरीब को हाथ में लगना, जो भी अगर से राजा सिंह दिखा तो उसको मारना बोल के बोल दिए। जो कल्प्रिट है उसको मारते, सारी नहीं बोला तो बराबर मारते उसको।
So he stands by his stance. That is Feroze Khan of the Congress party. He has a picture of the Gandhis behind him. He's remorseless. He says, whatever be the case, if he does not apologize, then we are going to hit him. I'm going to get people to hit him. We will take the law into our own hands because our religious sentiments have been hurt. Feroze bhai, dhanyawad humse judne ke liye. Jaya Singh continues to be with us. Atikur Rahman is a well-known scholar, also continues to be with us. Atikur Rahman, what do you think of this, sir? You know, Sar Tan Se Juda is a phrase that has literally resulted in beheadings in the recent past in this country and violence. And you've got people not only saying it rampantly, but you've got children saying similar things in Hyderabad. No action taken against people. A leader from the Congress and other parties are issuing similar kinds of threats, calling for violence. What is your take on this, sir? Why is this being allowed?
Shiv, I would have loved to cross this person, Feroze Khan, but I don't think he's on the panel.
Correct,
Shiv,
correct.
My head, lies in shame. These things are not only chilling, disturbing. Since day one of the Nupur Sharma controversy, I have been telling on all the television channels that any kind of utterances against Prophet Muhammad, the Quran or Allah is not counted as blasphemy. Blasphemy is not there established in the Quran. So I do not know from where this Sar Tan Se Juda has come, as you have rightly pointed out. it must have been propped up in some foreign countries, either in Pakistan or Afghanistan. But so far, my religion, my Allah and the Quranic revelations are there. This is not established in the Quran. And so far, we do not delineate these things. From the rightful Quranic approach, we will not win over these certain Tanse-Juda people. But unless and until we set the right tone and right message, Shiv, we will not win over these, antisocial elements.
I agree, sir.
And children, for God's sake, as rightly said by Jaya Singh, we need to do something, and the government of India should immediately call all Islamic scholars on the channels on board, and they should confess that Sar Tanse-Juda is not the right approach, not the Quranic or the Islamic way.
Illegal approach, criminal approach, absolutely. No, I also want to ask you, there is, Atikur Rahman, there is an actually slightly more troubling aspect to all of this. The fact that those saying Sar Tanse-Juda in these protests are not extremist hardliners. Many of them are mainstream political figures, sir. They are from parties that are mainstream parties. These are parties that are part of the Indian political system. They are making these calls for violence. They are saying Sar Tanse-Juda. Are these the people who are making and normalizing a phrase like this, sir? Because it has become truly, truly scary and dangerous. Because one has started to believe that if Sar Tanse-Juda begins to be chanted, a killing is going to happen, like it happened in Amravati, like it happened in Udaipur, etc.
God forbid it happens. Shiv, that is why I am telling you, since the politicians are there who are using my religion in a very, very bad, fashion and term, I am assuring you, if the government of India takes steps, all Islamic scholars will delineate this particular aspect.
I hope so.
They will have to come. The right message and tone has to be established.
And it has gone on.
The rightful people are not coming on channels. They are not coming on board.
That I agree with.
They are not, taken on board.
The people.
We need to take steps.
All of the people.
I am assuring you, no Islamic scholar or a cleric will say that the Quran established blasphemy. No, there is no
not a single person.
Quran. Even Salman Rushdie episode, Dr. Rafiq Zakaria wrote a book against it. A book for a book, a poem for a poem, a painting for a painting is the right approach.
In this world, and since this is a world of binaries.
And why do we go oversensitive?
I agree. In this world of binaries.
Social media in the age of this thing, every day these people will crop up.
I just want to point out one thing. That in this world of binaries, that there is always a hypocrisy everywhere you look. And Jaya Singh, I'm just coming to you for a final comment. That those who, because we've been talking about the normalization of Sar Tanse-Juda being chanted by people, including by children also now chanting similar things. There is also a hypocrisy in the fact that this phrase has been normalized also because many of the prominent voices who had condemned and rightly condemned the horrible phrase, Goli Maro Salon ko, Desh ke Gaddaron ko, a couple of years ago, are the same people who are totally silent today and not saying anything about Sar Tanse-Juda, which has a religious color to it. But Jaya Singh, can we agree today that this is, this was scary, but once children are introduced into it, the dynamic and the scale of the issue, is exponentially much more on our hands. The fact that people are able to, get children to do this kind of thing means that someone needs to step in and crack down and send out a message. Am I right?
Yes, you very rightly said that people are making children come in.
Yeah.
Because if you look at our law, it clearly says, you must have heard the word Doli in Capex, that the child below 7 is not at all responsible for his or her actions if there is a criminal thing held against the child. And between 7 to 12 also, the section 83 of IPC gives a partial immunity to the child, saying that the child does not have the sufficient maturity to understand the repercussions of the action. So it is we as adults who are using children for various things.
Right.
While we conduct elections, you know that the Election Commission always puts out a guideline that no child should be used in any of the rallies. So there is a very clear message which is there in our law, in by our constitution, that
Yes.
children need to be safe, and if children are doing anything wrong, then that has to be held, that responsibility has to be held by the adults.
All of
It's
those
not
rules.
that
Yeah.
the child will be doing this by his or her own understanding or knowing the repercussions of the action.
No, I'm
So
glad to know that we have those protocols and rules, but all those rules are completely out of the window. I'm out of time on this discussion, but I thank the both of you for joining me. I really hope that someone steps in and sends out a message, does something to set an example for those who are saying Sartan se juda, and especially making the kids participate in that as well. Thank you, Atikur Rahman. Thank you, Jaya Singh, for being with me here on 5 Live. There have been protests continuing in different parts of Hyderabad. The city is safe. Don't believe rumors about tension across the city. There is nothing like that. There are small protests happening in different places. The police is handling them. We will report responsibly on what's happening in the beautiful city of Hyderabad. It's Karnataka's biggest festival of the year. Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations are very near, but the Savarkar political flashpoint has begun to really take center stage in Karnataka. District after district in the state has been witnessing protests, vandalism against posters of Savarkar, Rath Yatras as well. But the latest flashpoint is Hindu groups clamoring to celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi at the Eidgah Maidan in Hubli. The opposition is up in arms, claiming a BJP hand in the violence unraveling across Karnataka. Take a look.
Posters, protests and politics. The Savarkar showdown is spilling into the festive season in Karnataka. As more and more right-wing groups are pushing for Savarkar flexes and posters to be put up in pandals during Ganesh Chaturthi, and the government seems to be on board.
ವೀರ ಸಾವರ್ಕರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಹೋರಾಟಗಾರ. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಲಘುವಾಗಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಹೋರಾಟಗಾರನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಇಂಥವರ ಫೋಟೋನ ಗಣಪತಿ ಪಕ್ಕಕ್ಕೆ ಪೆಂಡಾಲಿಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದು ಅವರ ಹೆಸರು ಇಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಾಲಗಂಗಾಧರ ತಿಲಕರವರ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ಇಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು.
The move has irked Congress. The Grand Old Party has been on an anti-Savarkar rampage in Karnataka.
Wanted to create controversy and they wanted to divert the attention of the people.
From maladministration.
There is a maladministration, there is no governance, there is no law and order, there is a corruption, rampant corruption in the government.
What he thinks about Hindutva, what he thinks about what he thought of, what he said about partition, what he thought about Muslim League. It's up to people to decide. If they want to pray to Savarkar, we have no issues. But as we have serious ideological differences with Savarkar, and we'll put it in front of the people.
And that's not all. The BJP is now pushing for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations at the contentious Eidgah ground in Bengaluru. BJP's C.T. Ravi even shot off a letter to CM Bommai with a plea to allow Hindus to celebrate Ganeshotsav in the ground, which the government so far has been non-committal about.
इस वर्ष अभी वो मैदान अभी सरकार का कंदाया इलाका का मैदान ऐसा अभी बताया है. इसके लिए चामराजपेटे गणेशोत्सव समिति निर्णय किया है. मैदान में चौथी से अनंत हुण्णिमे तक उधर 11 डेज का कार्यक्रम बनाने के लिए सरकार को मनवी पत्र दिया है कंदाया इलाकों.
The Savarkar fire meanwhile isn't dying down either. After former CM Yedurappa flagged off a Savarkar Rath Yatra on Tuesday, there's been an endless war of words.
Veer Savarkar issue, unnecessarily these BJP friends, to spoil the atmosphere of the state, they have encouraging this subject. For that, actually, these Congress friends, they are putting petrol to fire it.
The problem with Mr. Kumaraswamy is he's an opportunist. So he is seeing an opportunity. Which side? He doesn't mind even if it is Savarkar, even it is Gandhiji. They want power. So you can't be hanging on both the trees. Please have a stand.
Amid the political firestorm over Savarkar, another incident of alleged vandalism has been reported, this time in Davangere. A Savarkar poster, according to right-wing groups, was torn and removed overnight.
ಬಾಲಗಂಗಾಧರ ತಿಲಕ್ ಅವರು ಸಾವರ್ಕರ್ ಫೋಟೋ ಆಗಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲವು ಕಿಡಿಗೇಡಿಗಳು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಂಗೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಅವ್ರ ವೀರ ಸಾವರ್ಕರ್ದು ಬಾಲಗಂಗಾಧರ ತಿಲಕ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವರೇನು ಯಾವ ಪಕ್ಷದವರು ಅಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಹೋರಾಟಗಾರರವರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವಿರೋಧ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ.
From freedom fighters to gods, it is free for all now, with few months to go for elections in Karnataka. And now the showdown is clearly a much awaited Ganesha Chaturthi celebration in the state.
With Sagay Raj in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
You know, a lot of our viewers have been wondering, what is this, Savarkar? Where did Savarkar suddenly become so central to the political fight in Karnataka? What is this a result of? We've tried to decode it for you. So let me try and break it down so we can both understand together and learn what this is really all about. Point number one, Savarkar has become come to represent the BJP's need for a symbol to focus its attack on the Congress party. That's the basic level of the explanation. Point number two, it is to paint, a threat number one, Siddaramaiah, as a big minority appeaser-in-chief. This is basically to use the Savarkar symbol to paint Siddaramaiah as an appeaser, because Savarkar was formally rolled out by the BJP as some kind of a foil to the whole idea of Tipu Sultan being celebrated in the state of Karnataka. Point number four, this is the BJP's way of using a Hindu figure to denounce an Islamist like Tipu Sultan. It's also a weapon against the Congress's legacy leaders like Nehru. And it is a contentious figure to polarize the electorate, very much in keeping with the continuous polarization that's been taking place in the state literally since the beginning of this year. So, from the Ganesh Chaturthi posters on which Savarkar face has started to appear, to the big fight over whether Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations will take place at the Eidgah Maidan in Hubli, Savarkar has taken center stage, but the new battlefield has become the Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations. And mind you, Ganesh Chaturthi happens to be the biggest festival in Karnataka as it is in Maharashtra. Joining me live now, Mohan Vishwa, spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP, is live with me. The Congress has declined to be part of this discussion, but I have Syed Asad Abbas, my friend, political analyst from Bengaluru as well. Thank you very much, Mohan. Thank you, Syed, for being with me on this. Mohan, to you first. Ganesh Chaturthi appears to have become the new sort of canvas on which the politics is being fought right now. Savarkar posters, Savarkar's picture appearing on a Ganesh Chaturthi, a hoarding. Now, there is a bit of a fight going on over whether Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations can take place at the Eidgah Maidan as well. What's going on, Mohan?
Hey, good evening, Shiv. See, who started all these things? It's none other than Siddaramaiah, who is known for appeasement politics, who is known for dividing the society based on caste, who is known for dividing the society based on religion. It was he who started in Shimoga. So when he went to Shimoga, during Independence Day celebration, the Savarkar posters were put in one of the area. What statement he made? He said that, how can you put a Savarkar poster in a Muslim area? Come on, he calls himself as a secular and socialist leader. Being a secular, how can you make that statement after being in the responsible opposition party? So when you have that kind of statement, obviously there will be a reaction from the society. So he was the one who started. Now it has spread across all the districts in Karnataka. Take an example of Coorg also. Recently, what did he do? He knows that Coorg people don't like Tipu Sultan, who has been worshipped by same Siddaramaiah between 2013 and 2018. Even after knowing that, he went to Coorg and his own Karyakarta threw egg on his car. So even after knowing there was a fire, so he was the one who adds fuel every time to the fire. So it's he who is responsible for all these things. And regarding the Ganesh Chaturthi celebration in Eidgah Maidan also, there is no clear title from Waqf Board to prove that, that particular property belongs to Waqf Board. They failed to prove either with the department or with the court, wherever for that matter. Now it is purely belong to the revenue department. So now the revenue department and the BBMP, they will take their own call to give permission or not. So we can't, deny anybody, right? If there is a true secular, if he is a true secular, it should be allowed for both the religions. Let them allow for namaz also, where the permission is already granted for 3 times a year, and let them allow for, celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi also. Nothing wrong in that.
There is the Eidgah Maidan issue, there is Ganesh Chaturthi, there is the Savarkar issue. If I may invoke one of Karnataka's favorite foods, this has become like a polarization bisi bele baat. But Syed, because this is a serious issue and it's not a joke, because there are serious things happening. People have been stabbed, 3 people have been arrested. It's not a joke. Elections are coming up very soon. How do you see the use of Savarkar here, Syed? Ganesh Chaturthi appears to be another occasion where the Savarkar metaphor has been used in this way. Mohan Vishwa, the BJP, says Siddaramaiah is the one who triggered this new flashpoint involving Savarkar. Your take?
Firstly, Shiv, the Nataka in Karnataka has begun. Also, I was looking at the 5 points you decoded. You are on point, Shiv. Absolutely right. That is the exact. Any of your viewers who watch the 5 points decoded, that is the state of Karnataka with respect to Savarkar. Now, coming to one by one to counter my good friend Mohan Vishwa of the BJP, the fact of the matter who said Siddaramaiah was a Tipu Sultan worshipper. My friend who celebrated Tipu Jayanti when Yediyurappa, Jagdish Shettar, tall leaders of the BJP have time and again been a part of Tipu Jayanti celebrations. What kind of duplicity and hypocrisy is this? Also, as a matter of fact, let me put on board my point of view. I do not believe there is a Muslim area. I do not believe there is a Hindu area. We are all Indians. This is all our area. I do not agree to that point of the Congress leader. Also, the next point, Shiv, here what do we see? Let me quote my good friend, Dr. Vikram Sampath, who's also written 2 wonderful books on Savarkar. He says, history should be said the way it is. Do not demonize or lionize. Same way he said, if you wish to speak of the glorious deeds of Tipu Sultan, go ahead. Of course, there are other wrongdoings too. But same as Savarkar, you cannot deny the fact that he did write mercy petitions to the British, and he did say that he chooses to remain a loyal servant. We are not taking away from the freedom struggle. He was put in jail because of his conspiring against the Britishers and a rebellion. The fact I am not okay with, I have great respect for Lord Ganesha. In my society building, we contribute to the celebrations and be a part of it. But equating a Savarkar or any other leader with a Lord Ganesha is an absolute no.
Mohan, Savarkar appears to be popping up in... Yeah, you can reply to what Syed says very quick because I have only 90 seconds left. Very quick reply to Syed, if you can. I'll try and give 45 seconds to you both.
See, Shiv, I appreciate what he made that, he don't agree with the point where, that is Muslim area or Hindu area. Even in our school days also, college there also, even we were celebrating along with all other religion friends. Okay, that is point number 1. Point number 2, I want to tell him that when Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa and Jagdish Shettar did Tipu Jayanti, they were not in BJP. Please remember, they were in KJP. There was a separate party, there was a separate political development happened. Okay, that he has to remember. So, and the Siddaramaiah, see, one should not forget the fact that when Siddaramaiah knew that, this issue will be triggered, and intentionally is making such kind of statement, which is totally wrong and which is creating total disharmony in the society.
Okay, quick.
So he should agree for that.
45 seconds, please. My friend
last word, all the time. Yeah.
I think Mohan, my dear friend, is being fair enough. It was not in BJP when he did that. So therefore, BJP tall leaders, ideology changes party to party. Well, that is clear. Also, the last point I make here, Shiv, is I really beg to the tall leaders of the Congress, BJP, JDS to stop your infighting. This is a beautiful land of Karnataka. the land of Basvanna and Kuvempu, who spoke of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and let us keep it that way. One world, one family, and we are proud Kannadigas, Shiv. We are very proud. You have been here many times, Bangalore. You know the hospitality, you know the people. You will vouch for the fact what a beautiful land of Karnataka is. So
I'm going to end on that big picture note, but obviously, you know, Mohan and Syed, you're both young Indians as well, just like me. I'm not so young, at least for me, I can speak.
You are,
but the fact is, the Karnataka elections are coming up very, very soon.
Oh, yes.
I hope we can all see the big picture. Politics is allowed, politics is permitted. Let's hope it doesn't get any uglier than it already has. Let's hope everyone gets on board. Mohan and Syed, pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for being with me. 5 Live ends here.